Good morning, dear friends. I would like to welcome you all to another meeting of the Silicon Valley Greek Hub. It's a very special occasion for us, given that we have as our guest today, the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Kostas Fragogiannis. It's a pleasure and an honor to have you with us, dear Minister. Thanks so much for joining us. And it's a special occasion as well, because this is the very first meeting of the Silicon Valley Greek Hub that will be transmitted in public. I take this opportunity because I know that a lot of our viewers, particularly the ones that are following us from a distance, do not know much about the SVGH. So I will take this opportunity to describe the broad lines of what's it all about. Actually, the Silicon Valley Greek Hub, or SVGH, is a collective initiative that started about a year ago under the auspices of the Consulate General of Greece here in San Francisco. Right in the middle of the pandemic, we were amazed by the quality of the local diaspora. And given that we consider that the conditions were ripe, we tried to put them to good use. So eventually, the next step was to invite a bunch of people, Greeks and Greek Americans who live in the wider Bay Area and who are active in the tech sector and beyond. The core group of our initiative comprises executives, venture capital experts, researchers, IT scientists, and startups, and all of them have extensive experience with the Silicon Valley and international markets. Our main aspiration is to connect Greece with the Silicon Valley and try to explore creative synergies that exist. We have remained so far informal in our activities, and we consider that this platform is quite versatile. Of course, it's a networking platform, but at the same time, we may provide some mentorship to young entrepreneurs. We may facilitate mobility from Greece to the Silicon Valley and vice versa. And in general, we're trying to highlight through events like this one, the potential of Greece and the pure talent of the members of the Greek innovation ecosystem. I would say that this meeting marks the beginning of the second phase of the action of the SVGH, second phase in which we will try to bolster our activities and also highlight further our visibility. It couldn't get better as choice of our guest, since we're having today with us the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, head of the economic diplomacy of the country, Mr. Kostas Fragogiannis, an eminent political figure who has contributed largely to the success story of the Greek economy post-crisis, someone who has extensive experience from the private sector, and most importantly for us, someone who has lived here in San Francisco for quite some time. I know that you are perfectly familiar with the spirit and the atmosphere of the Bay Area and the Silicon Valley in general, dear Deputy Minister. Without further ado, I would like to thank you once again for joining us today and give the floor to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your kind words. Dear Consul General, Mr. Servinos, dear Head of the Trade Affairs, Mrs. Vitsikunaki, dear friends in attendance, good morning, everyone. I'm so very happy and so pleased to be here with you today. Delighted and looking forward to this meeting to interact and discuss with prominent members of the Greek diaspora operating in the global center of high technology and innovation. A place that I know particularly well, and I feel a little bit envy for not being there with you, but I promise that very soon, as a matter of fact, on December 14, I will be in the Bay Area, and I hope and I'm looking forward to meeting all of you in person. Allow me to congratulate everyone for this initiative, the appropriately named Silicon Valley Greek Hub, SVGH, I see. We truly appreciate all members' efforts in participating and promoting activities and welcome your valuable feedback on issues concerned. Now, I would like to warmly thank the Consul General and our mission in San Francisco. I take pride for our diplomatic mission in San Francisco for taking the time to organize today's meeting that will hopefully produce practical concepts and proposals to take forward. Now, as you can tell, I will be speaking about the chosen course of the Greek economy during the past 2 years, focusing on investment and R&D aspects, and conclude with a brief mention to reforming the national concept of economic diplomacy implemented and put in motion earlier this year. In the aftermath of the global economic and financial crisis, roughly over the last decade, Greece has restructured its economy, nationalized its public finances, and significantly boosted its competitiveness. I tend to say from Grexit to growth with a capital GR. It has reoriented itself to global markets, attracted record foreign investment, and registering thus record export growth. At the same time, we are evolving into a new center for technology and innovation growth. The overall efforts that led us here are ongoing. Starting from the first days in office in the summer of 2019, the current government has put its back into modernizing the economy and the public sector. We have been devoted in completing a series of targeted reforms, ranging from tax cuts to reducing red tape. New structural reforms and concrete measures are steadily being planned and already taking shape for the coming months. I believe Alex Patelis, the Chief Economic Advisor to the Prime Minister, has referred to many during your previous meeting in spring, such as modernizing corporate and bankruptcy legislation, attracting skilled international employees, and the Festos Investment Fund, among others. A distinct mention should be made to cultivating innovation with tax-related benefits geared towards companies investing in R&D, Elevate Greece, the national innovation gateway to identify promising startups and support the growth, increasing researchers' allowances, special agreements with the European Investment Bank to upgrade research center facilities, improving the legal framework of spin-off companies, and several others, mainly managed by the Ministry of Development and Investment. Regarding the investment sector in particular, the Greek government has vocally demonstrated its commitment to boosting foreign direct investment, FDI. After a very long period throughout which foreign investment was a principal issue of political discord and entrepreneurship even blamed as illicit conduct, thus grounding worthy initiatives, Greece has been transformed into a credible interlocutor and a safe investment landing place. Multiple incentives are currently in force and multi-tiered benefits are granted to investors. I don't wish to tire you anymore by spelling out our measures. Besides, numbers speak for themselves. During the first half of 2021, net FDI flows amounted to 2.31 billion euro, registering a 34% increase compared to 2020, and even 12.5% compared to 2019, because one may say that the pandemic has an effect to the statistics. Since July 2019, strategic investments amounted to 4.8 billion euros in total, and leading to the creation of 3,335 new jobs. Let me briefly mention the most prominent of the upcoming US investments in Greece. Microsoft is expected to build new data centers and establish a Microsoft cloud region in Greece, the largest investment made in the 28 years the company has been here. The project is projected to contribute more than 1 billion euros to the Greek economy and train 100,000 workers from the public and private sectors. Cisco's International Center for Digital Transformation Acceleration in Thessaloniki was inaugurated in mid-October. The center is dedicated to practical solutions, development towards startups, academic and research institutions, focusing among others in smart cities, health, rural development, tourism, environmental and civil protection. Pfizer also chose Thessaloniki to create its Global Business Services Hub and Center for Digital Innovation, one of the 6 worldwide. More than 300 highly skilled researchers are already employed in the center, a testament, according to Albert Boula, to Greece's human capital for a knowledge-based economy. Amazon creates a web services hub in Athens, providing cloud computing services to accommodate the rapid adoption of its services in Greece and support its expansion in the region. SAP, eBay, Amazon, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Quantum Energy Partners, General Electric, Blink Charging, and Tesla, Cinespace Film Studios, to name but a few, are all currently pursuing investments in the Greek market. Last but not least, the Smart and Sustainable Island project in Astypalia Island, a groundbreaking joint initiative of the Greek state and the Volkswagen Group that aims to replace the existing fleet of combustion engines with e-vehicles, introducing innovative on-demand mobility services and promote the use of renewable energy sources. Following my last point, I cannot stress enough the significance of transiting to a climate-neutral and circular economy for the EU and Greece, which is evidently one of the first European countries on this path. It is worth noting that the Greek government is committed to the withdrawal of lignite plants by 2028, a bold decision that we announced at the General Assembly of the United Nations in 2019. To this direction, the ambitious but realistic Just Development Transition Plan was set up as a roadmap for restructuring the productive model of the transition areas while capitalizing on their diverse comparative advantages and all available funding sources. The total amount of funding, including required leverage of private resources, will apparently exceed 5 billion euros, and prospective investments on specific regions will be provided with a fast-track licensing process, fast-trending process, and tax and capital incentives, among others. To enhance all of the above, Greece has a strong track record of successfully designing and delivering public-private partnerships, PPPs. Our goal is to further enhance and accelerate PPPs implementation in Greece. For this reason, we joined forces with the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, acting as our partner in the maturing process of the projects to be included in the pipeline. Also, we are in the process of developing a clear-cut national strategy of PPPs across sectors in the context of a proactive approach to targeting new projects. Concluding the aforementioned concepts, and contrary to voices of barren criticism and ominous predictions, Greece's image abroad has significantly improved during the past couple of years, registering explicitly positive references in international media. Indicatively, according to EY Attractiveness Survey, Greece ranks in the top 10 most attractive European investment destinations, with a highly positive outlook by the enterprises interviewed. Dear friends, as Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we cannot take full credit for reforms and positive effects I discussed about today. Our achievements come to a large extent through solid cooperation with all ministries and stakeholders involved. In a sense, we operate every ministry's international department. We are the front end of the government. Nevertheless, and in order to complement the overreaching economic and investment strategy, we have also restructured economic diplomacy as a whole under a common roof, that of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, incorporating bilateral and multilateral economic relations, together with the state agencies for trade and investment, as well as providing export and credit insurance programs. In this framework, we will be traveling to Boston and San Francisco on December 11 and to 19, together with Minister Dimas, in charge of research and technology, where we will have the chance, among others, to meet with several stakeholders in the fields of innovation and technology and review current affairs and future cooperation prospects. From my side, I'm familiar to a large extent with your business endeavors and diverse activities in the innovation circle, although it has not yet been possible to establish ongoing common projects or actions with your side. Therefore, today's event is a timely opportunity to comment and discuss on practical issues concerning your invaluable experience, current activities, and consequently suggestions to work together towards lasting and efficient initiatives for the benefit of everyone involved from both sides of the Atlantic. For the moment, let me end my presentation here. I'm eager to pass the floor to you and hear your comments. And once more, I thank you for your efforts. I thank you for being there. I'm proud of who you are. I'm proud of being there and participating in today's web discussion. Looking forward to our conversation that is going to be following up in a few minutes.
Dear Deputy Minister, thank you so much for your presentation. The economy of Greece has covered quite a long distance during the few years, and we're so proud of that. As time is of the essence, I suggest that you pass right away to the Q&A sessions. Dear friends, please introduce yourself briefly before you formulate your questions. The floor will be given to each one of you by Mrs. Daphne Vitsikounakou. Daphne, over to you.
Thank you, Consul General. Please raise your hand or put your question in the chat, and you may go ahead and introduce yourself and ask your questions or give your comments. Just to start it off. Yes, Consul General.
Do you think that would be better to warm up the atmosphere. I will try to put the very first question to our Deputy Minister. We have witnessed here, everyone who visits the Silicon Valley witnesses the very strong link between the universities, the startups, and the innovation ecosystem. We've seen that there is a seamless integration between the big universities, Stanford, Berkeley, and a lot of others that are in California, with the tech scene and the innovation scene that is active here in the region. We know that we've been discussing in Greece this for quite some time. I would like to know if you have any insights and what is your opinion on that. And a second question that I would like to make is based on the Astypalia project. It's a huge project, and we know that somehow it paves the way for the future. And I would be really interested to hear something more about that. Thank you.
Okay, let me take one question at a time. Well, first of all, the question you raised is related as to how the two communities, the academic community and the professional community, relate one to another. In the old days, the universities would produce professionals on grounds of what they believe is needed by the business community. At a later moment in time, they put the question to the business community, and they may try to make sure that the type of expertise they deliver to the society is what is needed by the business community, the scientific community, etc., etc. Nowadays, things are a little bit more advanced. As a matter of fact, the first ever travel that Kyriakos Mitsotakis, our Prime Minister, and myself made in August of 2019, weeks after our election of July 8, 2019, was to Holland, and we paid a visit to the University of Eindhoven, where we witnessed in our own eyes a very particular connection between the business community and the academic community. The business community is within the academic community and works together with the academia to make sure that what they deliver is exactly what is needed, and then the business community supports the academia in order to enhance the delivery of the results. So in that respect, we decided immediately. I did so. It was in October 2019. I paid a visit to Boston, Massachusetts, had a chance to visit the Swiss scientific delegation in the city, and we decided to adopt what we call the scientific diplomacy. So we have put an addendum to the organizational chart of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that allows for a scientific diplomat be hired in the consulate of Boston as a pilot case study. And the responsibility of that person will be to bring together the business and the academic community from both sides of the Atlantic. So we are working in that respect. Once we see the particulars of this experiment take place and make the fine-tuning that may be needed, we are going to be deploying scientific diplomats to San Francisco, to Tokyo, to Singapore, to London, and a few other parts of the world that we have decided that will be the next second step following the successful integration of the Boston-made pilot program in as far as scientific diplomacy is concerned. Now, on Astypalia, you will need to stop me, because if I get carried away, I will be talking for hours. I'm particularly fond of this project. What we did in Astypalia, which is a small island of the Aegean with about 1,500 people, 60 kilometers of asphalt road, and some 1,300 cars, vehicles, I should say, is the following. It is a program that is made up of 4 pillars. One is to convert the island into being green. And by that, I need to stress that the island of Astypalia, as a few other islands in the Aegean, is not connected to the national energy grid. And in order to have the needed electricity for the inhabitants and the tourists, it burns diesel. So there are 4 diesel generators that produce the most expensive electrical power in the world and pollute the environment. So we decided to shut these diesel generators down and to replace them with a hybrid system that will make use of the sun and the wind, store energy into battery cells, and deliver the needed energy to the island. The second pillar is related to converting all of the combustion engines of the car, whether it has to do with the private persons or small rent-a-car companies, into electric. We put chargers throughout the island. Volkswagen donated a number of vehicles for all of the public utilities and the public companies on the island as a donation. So the police car and the police scooters, the Port Authority, the Civil Aviation Authority, the mayor's office, even the ambulance is electric. Everything is electric already. And we have given tremendous subsidies, both ourselves as well as Volkswagen has lowered significantly its prices to make sure that the business community of the island and the private residents will be able to afford to buy an electric car. The third pillar is related to what we call mobility on demand. Mobility on demand replaces the old-fashioned bus that goes by every 30 minutes with what we call an e-van that will pick you from point A and take you to point B 24 hours a day. So you don't need to wait on a winter rainy day in the bus stop for a bus to come by with a combustion engine. And the same applies to being a tourist that wishes to go to a nearby beach on a summer day. You just use your app on your smartphone or make a telephone call or send an SMS to the particular authority of the island that will run the mobility on demand program. And finally, the fourth pillar has to do with the autonomous driving. So we are providing roads of excellence and signage of excellence together with 5G that will allow in 2026 autonomous driving to be tested in the island for the first time in the world. So all of these may be seen in different parts of the world, but there is no place where all four pillars are being tested and being run at the same time. It's a 6-year program. We started about a year and a half ago, and we're looking forward to multiplying the effects of this innovative program of the smart and sustainable island of Astypalea to other islands in other parts of the world. Well, I told you I was going to get carried away, so I apologize for my long answer, but I'm particularly fond of this program.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fragogiannis. I believe I saw Marios Anapliotis raise his hand. Was I correct?
Yes, correct. Thanks. Thanks, Daphne. So thank you for the presentation. And I'm currently in Athens, by the way, and also my question is related a little bit to the fact that I'm here. So I have been living in San Francisco for the last 12 years. Before that, I was in Finland for another 5-6 years. I have been working in corporate, in technology, also in startups. I have been an entrepreneur myself. And during COVID, I started looking for remote teams in Greece for engineers, talent, especially in the space of machine learning, AI, and enterprise SaaS software. So I have seen this growth, as you describe it, Mr. Minister. And my question is that, do you think that what I hear and I experience lately, that there is a resource shortage because we are a country that we're very small. So actually I'm here in Athens recruiting some people for some projects to work in projects in Silicon Valley. And a lot of people, they tell me that because of these big investments and we're a small country, we start having a problem finding good resources, engineering resources in high tech, because our universities do not produce so many. So they are mainly taken from the big corporations that you mentioned, like the big investments of Cisco, the big investment of Microsoft, and so on.
Well, my goodness, this is a nice problem to have. I mean, we used to talk about unemployment being very high, and now the unemployment goes down, but not to the level that it will not allow for corporations to find the human capital that is needed. Let me expand a little bit on that. If you choose to go to any Central European state, the unemployment rate is in the size of 3 to 4 to 5%, practically meaning that it is very difficult to find a worker. In Greece, the unemployment is higher, and thus the possibility to find a worker is higher. But the question is, what are the skills? What are the particular specifications that is required by a company like your own, and what is available in Greece? Let me give you an example. I was in Chicago about a year and a half ago, speaking with Cinespace Studios, which is one of the largest US-based cinematography studios in the world. They're based in Chicago and in Toronto, and I think it is the largest outside of Hollywood. And we have been speaking of setting up a cinematography studio in Greece. Now that is an investment. It has not to do with the cinematography itself, because nowadays, given a new law that provides particular subsidies and incentives to filmmaking in Greece, there are tens of films that are being filmed in Greece as we speak. The growth of the filming industry in Greece is over 200%. So it's a significant step towards filming in the country. But let's go back to cinematography. So what was raised is a very simple question. They said, Minister, we know there is technology and cinematography and expertise of engineers in Greece, but it's very hard to find carpenters. Because when you walk into a studio, a cinematography studio, all of what you see is a facade. And behind that facade, there is plenty of carpentry work. And my immediate answer was that if we need carpenters, we have to produce carpenters. We have to train carpenters. And I had a chance to speak with the Minister of Education in view of setting up programs that will deliver the type of carpenting expertise that is needed by the cinematography sector. Same applies to you. I see that you may be having a difficulty to finding the right people. So the number of unemployment is high, meaning that there is available employment in Greece. The question is, what type of skills do you need? And what type of skills are needed in order to make sure that our people find the jobs they deserve and do not have to go abroad. As 400,000 Greeks have emigrated in the past 10 years from Greece, not because they do not like to live in the country, but because they seek a better opportunity and a better employment and a better career for themselves. So my answer to you is, I have respect for what you say. Human capital is available, but if there is a particular need, then you have to address this issue with our office, and we will try to prepare the type of skillful expertise that is needed by your company.
Yeah, and in this case, it is mainly on machine learning, computer science, actually, computer scientists. And the answer I heard is that we do not have a lot of polytechnic schools in Greece. We have great ones, but not enough to supply enough people for technology, for computer scientists. And most of them are already, very much on high demand.
I'm surprised by what you say. I heard you earlier that you are in Athens as we speak now, right?
I am in Athens to find talent, yes. And I managed to find 3 people, extremely difficult. And I actually had
I would love to learn more about it. And I would invite you to step by my office and have a little chat over this. To my understanding, in as far as computer science and engineering is concerned, there is plenty of available talent, perhaps away from Athens. But let me take an opportunity to have a cup of coffee with you whenever you have a chance. I'm going to be away from Athens until Saturday. I'm going to Central Asia tomorrow, but I will be here next week. So I would be happy to meet you in person.
Thank you very much. We can arrange that.
My pleasure.
We'd like to welcome also Mr. Dritsas from the Ministry of Development. Welcome, Mr. Dritsas.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much.
We are just beginning our Q&A session. So I see a couple of raised hands, and I'd like to pass the floor to Yannis Papapanagiotou. Please introduce yourself briefly, Yannis, and ask your question.
Daphne, I think Tom was before. He raised the hand before I did. Tom, do you want to go first?
That is fair play. That is fair play.
Thank you, Yannis. We'll pass the floor to Tom.
But you have to unmute yourself, Tom.
Yeah, actually works well because the continuation of the brain drain shortage thing. I'm on the board of a Greek IoT company in maritime, and they had the same problem finding the right engineers. And I was in Greece for 3 weeks in the summer, and I went to Crete, Patras, Athens, Thessaloniki, and Volos, where I have a connection of people in the high tech. And the answer is not always that there is shortage of engineers in Greece. The answer is that it's scattered and potentially not well networked. We talk about the Greek innovation ecosystem, and I would like to use the word the Greek innovation eco-islands. You got lots of innovation, but it's all scattered and fragmented, okay, in different sectors, BioCAD, ICT, etc. That is in Greece, and then we have a lot of them worldwide, okay? When the Innovative Greeks event happened, we actually logged some of the people and were able to create a map of the diaspora, including Greece, of the people attending. It was very interesting. So I'm framing my question. My question is very simple. From experience, and we've been through this with Nick and others, 11 years ago, we tried to create the first innovation ecosystem. It has 4 pillars: business, government, academia, and VCs, all right? Funding, all right? This is the fundamental pillars of an ecosystem, okay? This is what works in Silicon Valley. All things come together in a balance, all right? And if you want to basically do that, if we look at the Boston Consulting Group strategy report, it talks about the same things, okay? However, in order to do that ecosystem and be able to create what we call the Greeks to the Greeks power, all right, we have to connect all the Greeks and orchestrate the skill sets, the interest, etc., and create what I would call a massive matchmaking thing, which could be fueled by the pilot programs that you do. The pilot is basically a very good thing because it allows you to prove a certain thing before you scale it. And you prove what things work versus not, and then you can start scaling them. What is needed, I think, is not just this one-on-one advertising or innovation or mentoring, but many-to-many. And that requires an orchestration platform, which I would call it the Greek Facebook of innovation, to put it simply, all right? It's much more than that. Has there been any plans to do something like that? Because I think that we can leverage, we cannot expect all the Greeks to go back, right? Some people have families, et cetera, but we can leverage the expertise worldwide. And have been any thoughts on that?
Well, as I'm looking at you, Tom, I'm looking at the bridge. And I'm looking at the Golden Gate Bridge, which is behind you, that brings memories from my youth. But at the same time, a bridge is a pillar, is a construction that connects the two sides. And so I think that what you're speaking of is a bridge between the 4 pillars that you mentioned, and a bridge between Greece and the Greek diaspora. In the United States, there is plenty of associations, plenty of initiatives that connect the Greeks, plenty of initiatives that connect the Greek Americans. And thank God there are. We are grateful to all of the people that take part in these initiatives and all of the people who have aspirations of connecting the two sides of the Atlantic. But I think that you said it very well. There is plenty of room for a bridge that will connect the two essentials of what is needed. The talent that is available, wherever that is, with the need for that talent to grow, to inspire, to pursue business endeavors, and to pursue personal ambitions. So I would be very interested as a Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs to look into that possibility. And I would invite you to ask our consular office for my telephone number and my email address. And if you can put together an executive summary of your thoughts under the title, The Bridge, then I would be very much looking forward to providing the foundations for that bridge.
I would like to do that with a few selected members of the SVGH together as a collective effort, okay?
And let's talk about it when I come over to San Francisco in a few weeks' time.
Exactly. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Excellent. And now we move on to Yannis Papapanagioti.
Thank you. So I think we have some wonderful faculty from and people who work in academia here in this call. And I think one of the challenges, as Christos posted in the chat, is the quality of the talent that we have in Greece and how we can up-level that. And, I work for a company called Snowflake, and we have a program, and many companies have, like Google has, Amazon has, Microsoft has, where they collaborate closely with universities, with faculty. They can do like some sort of applied research. This helps the faculty have more impact into what's going on around the industry, but it also helps students up-level their skill sets so they can be more marketable later on. But the challenge is we have a bunch of Greeks here in the United States and many other countries that work in many companies, and they want to help out with Greece. They want to work with Greek faculty. They want to work with Greek academia. But we feel there is a lack of a bridge, as you stated before, right? How can we connect the industry abroad with academia in Greece so that we can up-level the skills, we can improve the faculty, and we can have more applied research?
Yannis, let me understand the question right. Are you speaking of the application towards an academic perspective or towards a scientific and business perspective?
It's kind of both. And I will give you a more practical example. I mean, when a company here in the United States works very closely with an academic sector, they can provide some funding to support the research. And this is some sort of a tax exempt situation for the company. If we try to do that with Greece, that does not be the case. So I was wondering what are the avenues that we can establish that. So let's say we want to support some research in Greece, collaborating with a Greek faculty. How can do that in a tax exempt situation or any other vehicle that can sponsor the way that we can have more applied research in Greek universities?
I have a couple of ideas that I would like to share with you, and I'm very happy that Mr. Dritsas is here with us, who may be willing to add on to what I'm about to say. First of all, Elevate Greece is an initiative of the Greek government in which technology-driven companies take part and register. So it is a database of the R&D, high-tech Greek business community in the country. Second, there is a significant incubating space and accelerating space and financial space in Greece for startup companies that at this moment in time, Mr. Dritsas, correct me if I'm wrong, it is over 400 companies that take part in the incubating sector and the accelerating sector. For the academic community in the country is not that large, and one may have access directly to that community on grounds of their own research that they do. Mr. Dritsas, fill up the rest of the answer, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Actually, Elevate Greece is an initiative which has started 1 year ago with many goals at the same time. The basic aim is to register, to track how many startup companies and spin-off companies we have in Greece over the last 8 years, and help them grow, and also connect them with our research and innovation ecosystem. And at the same time, we are trying also to map the whole research and innovation ecosystem of Greece and connect it with, first of all, within Greece, okay, in the Greek context. And the next stage will be to connect it with the international community. And of course, the Greek diaspora is our first target. So we are in discussion with the Minister of Foreign Affairs and colleagues from embassies in the UK, in San Francisco, in Boston, to see how we can work around it. We have so far registered 530 startup and spin-off companies in Greece so far. The number is growing, but at a lower rate right now because the majority has already been registered. And we aspire to help this ecosystem to connect and become even stronger, and have the opportunity to bridge with you and all the startup ecosystems of the world. This is our goal.
So to get back on your screen, I just want to mention that what we offer to newcomers, to startup companies, and to high-tech or technology-driven companies is a place to work, the incubating that is needed, the financial support, the accelerating units, and the connection to the Greek academia, which is quite significant, as a matter of fact. And often I hear from corporations as to whether we are able to give the support that is needed, and the answer is clearly yes. So on a case-to-case basis, we can do that through the Elevate Greece and through the Ministry of Development and Investment and the R&D-driven leg. Wow, I see so many raised hands. This is great.
So if I'm not mistaken, Michalis Potamias goes next, please.
Hello, and thank you for taking the time. I'm not sure if I raised my hand next because I wasn't monitoring, but if anybody's turn is behind, please go ahead and stop me. All right, there's silence. So, all right, so hi, I'm Michalis. I'm an ex-Googler. I was 7 years at Google before I did my PhD in Boston, and I worked in a couple of other companies around the area, Microsoft, Yahoo, etc., in machine learning. I've moved to Coinbase, which is whose mission is to improve economic freedom effectively in the world. And I wanted to focus a little bit on the digital assets and digital currency part of the world. Since Bitcoin was invented, when the problem of having a common ledger that the whole planet aligns on every 10 minutes, it has been effectively the fastest asset to reach $1 trillion US dollar market cap in around 11 years in history. Provides an opportunity to pretty much everybody hold a deflationary and non-inflationary asset in the world, which is something that has large impact. You see some adoption in El Salvador and countries that holding property is really hard. We also see, apart from the opportunity, we see the VC world, Andreessen Horowitz, for example, focusing all their investment, major parts of their investment right now, and all their focus is on that crypto economy and digital assets. We see some countries trying to, create kind of their own. So my question for you, Deputy Minister, as also the economic diplomacy head for the country, is do you see an opportunity there for Greece related to the crypto economy, Bitcoin? Do you see, is the Greek government evaluating this emerging change in the world in terms of asset adoption and property and currency, digital currency?
Yeah, the answer is quite clear. As a matter of fact, we do follow up on the evolution of cryptocurrency. Lately, I have had a discussion with the Bank of Greece, and we try, both myself and the Minister of Finance, to understand the particulars and the complexities of that system. As you well know, Greece is a full member of the European Union, and in many regards, we follow instructions of the European Union. So we cannot, in many ways, develop our own planning away from what is followed by the Union itself. But the simple answer to you is that We are looking at it. We are concerned with it. We have an obligation as a government to make sure that people will not only benefit from cryptocurrencies, but they will also be safe from the misuse of cryptocurrencies. So the political effort and the political decision regarding it is to be on top of the technology in as far as the currency is concerned, but at the same time to make sure that we create a level play field and a safe environment, a framework in which people can use it, but not misuse it. So we are following up, and I believe that soon we will have some decision-making and some directives from both Greece and the European Union in this respect. Thank you for the question.
Thank you.
Next up is Adam Nikolopoulos. Please, Adam.
There you are. Thank you, Minister. Great to meet you. Congrats on drawing such amazing volume of investments from heavyweights in North America. My background is I'm focusing on three areas. One is critical infrastructure. Secondly is renewable energy. And the third one is sustainability technologies. And I come from the angle of capital raising, basically active in North America, mostly. The question is, there's a lot of focus on drawing investments into the Greek economy. What about supporting Greek companies in their international efforts? Because also that's the flip side of what you're doing, and building bridges and facilitating with any measures, because we see a lot of other countries that are extremely actively pursuing and helping companies in their outreach program, to expand exports, to make connections with industrial partners and all these things. We've seen activities from Greek companies like, for example, Terna, that made some investments in the energy space in Idaho, in Texas, etc. We don't see a lot of them, and I think we should leverage off our strong capabilities and the software technology and some of the other things that we're really good at. So the question to you is measure support and bridges in their efforts to expand.
Plenty of work, Mr. Nikolopoulos, and I will be happy to tell you about it. For one thing, I'm particularly fond of the RES projects. As you know, we've decided to shut down all of our lignite plants by 2023, with the exception of one that will be shut down by 2028. There is billions of euro that is being realized as we speak, not just being granted a permit, but being realized in RES, from the sun and the wind to the molten salt, all kinds of technologies that are being implemented in Greece. Second, on energy projects, Greece is becoming an energy hub in Southeastern Europe. We have completed TAP. We have our eggs in many baskets. We are completing the floating storage and regasification unit in Alexandroupolis, which is connected to TAP, completing the connection with Bulgaria in a couple of months, the IGB, and the interconnector with North Macedonia. So that gives the opportunity to plenty of companies, including US traders, to trade natural gas from their own sources to all of Central Europe. And of course, there is the Mid-East pipeline under consideration. Now, and as far as the second aspect of your question, which is related to how we boost the internationalization of Greek companies is concerned, the answer is quite simple. We do not just support exports. We are here to support every effort that a Greek company makes to internationalize itself, whether it comes to establishing manufacturing routes, wholly owned subsidiaries, joint ventures, acquisitions, mergers. We have a network of consular offices and embassies with commercial attaches all over the world. We have Enterprise Greece, which is under the roof of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We prepare business-to-business meetings and roundtables and visits with the entrepreneurial community of Greece abroad. Lately, I was in Saudi Arabia. Just a couple of weeks ago, I was in Libya. Prior to that, in Iraq. We are extremely mobile, very well connected to the business community in the country. And we try to do the type of economic diplomacy that is a little different than in the past. In the past, the governments will be happy to take 100 businessmen from Greece, take them to New York or to Boston or to San Francisco, and then come back and have plenty of other opportunities and speak to a wide audience of 100 people. This is not effective. This is not productive. To my opinion, what is productive is to take 5 people focused in one sector of the economy, connect them to 5 people from the other side of the Atlantic or the visiting country, and make sure that you do the follow-up that is needed to ensure that the space and the framework that is required by both sides is there to fulfill the business endeavors. We did that in Tokyo, in Japan. We do that in Germany. We do that in France. We do that in Libya, in Israel, in the United Arab Emirates, in Saudi Arabia. And we try to work along the political diplomacy with economic diplomacy, because at the end of the day, diplomacy is one. It's political, it's economic, it's religious, it's athletic, it is even gastronomic diplomacy. So it all serves the purpose of connecting the 2 dots from the 2 sides into adding the 2 + 2 making 6 rather than 4. So there is plenty of, lately, just to have 30 more seconds, lately, that was perhaps 2 months ago, we did something phenomenal. We never before did we do that in Greece. We brought together in one presentation, in a beautiful Athens evening of September, all ambassadors from all the countries of the world that are present in Greece. And we connected all of our offices from all of our embassies in the world via internet. And in the presence of the Prime Minister, and the presence of the Minister of Foreign Affairs, in the presence of another 6 ministers and some business community members, we presented the national strategy for extroversy. And there is 253 actions for 2021 presented, in the sense that this is exactly what we do by sector of the economy, by country, by point of destination. Focused decisions and actions pertaining to supporting the Greek businesses to internationalize themselves abroad. So this is what we do. And needless to say, we take part in exhibitions and fairs, and we do the usual stuff, but we do more than that.
Thank you, Minister. Because there is one more point. We should recognize that one of the most precious commodity nowadays is not only data, but also the network. So we should take advantage of our network. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And I did see Eleni Linos raise her hand. I don't see it now. I don't want to.
I didn't want to go over time, but I don't know. Are we ending at 11?
We plan to go over. We want to be mindful of everybody's time, but we will go over for 5 minutes. So please go ahead, Eleni.
Okay, thank you so much. Briefly, I wanted to mention, as a member of the academic community, I'm a professor at Stanford and have trained in the UK and the US, but grown up in Greece. I share what I've heard from many of us say today, which is this desire to connect, the desire to build bridges, and the desire to give back, whether it's through sharing our knowledge, educating and supporting young people in Greece, or hiring them through opportunities. And my question relates from the academic standpoint, what opportunities we have to support exchange programs, to support the education and training talented individual in Greece from our positions as academics here in the US and in the Bay Area specifically?
Okay, I have a lot of respect for the question you raised, Eleni. It goes a little bit beyond my expertise of economic diplomacy, and it mainly relates to the Ministry of Education. But one thing I can share with you is that for the very first time in our history, we have English-speaking courses and diplomas offered by Greek universities. So we give the opportunity to people from abroad to study in Greece and to pursue the academic career of theirs in Greece. So, it has always been a question in my mind, why would anybody do a PhD in archaeology in Chicago when there could be an opportunity to do a PhD in archaeology in Greece, especially if we're speaking of classical studies. But in many ways, we have been trying to connect the two academic communities. And it is also a shame that we do not do that. And why is that a shame? Because there is plenty of Greek talent in universities in the United States, prominent universities like Stanford, and people like yourself who have chosen to live in the Bay Area, live in south of San Francisco in Stanford and pursue an academic career there. And you make us so proud for doing what you do. And I think it goes without saying that we would very much like to see that you are connected to the Greek academia. And you know what? Let me propose this. I'm going to be in the Bay Area in a couple of weeks' time. Why don't I bring a more concrete answer to your question by having a chat with my Minister of Education, Mrs. Niki Kerameo? So I will be delivering to you in person an answer to your question.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Lily and Nikos, please. Lily Komisopoulou and Nikos Kondorinis.
Hi.
Hi, good morning. Good morning for us.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Good morning to you.
Thank you. And thank you very much, Deputy Minister, for this excellent discussion. We've been in the US for 20 years, 12 years here in Silicon Valley, and Lily has been helping Greek startups with mentoring and angel investment, while I have been working at Google and later in the search infrastructure specifically. And I've also been organizing some Greeklers, this is the Greek Googlers as we call ourselves, initiatives to help nonprofits in Greece and also help here with visiting entrepreneurs or students. So we've been gathering some interesting topics for discussion. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but we wrote them in the chat, and this is basically the beginning of a very fruitful discussion, hopefully. Let me quickly mention them, starting from some very urgent that we've been hearing from many friends. So streamlining the process to allow remote working from Greece. This is a tendency that has already started and with the digital nomads. And we have many friends from Google, from other companies that are saying, can we help these big companies, make the next step and see that it's fine to work mainly bureaucratic things like insurance and other things and potential issues with army if someone comes back to Greece. So this is a major concern from people who would help reverse the brain drain, but the big companies are not fully on board with that. Follow up to that, extending the incentives for returning Greece to amplify this brain gain. There were some really good measures, some incentives regarding taxes for people returning in the past couple of years. I don't know if they will be extended for the following years. Then some more long-term questions. It is great to change this, to amplify this wave of people coming and working remotely from Greece, but we would like also to have all these big tech companies invest more in actual development centers in Greece. So it's great that they're building business support centers, but we would like to really see engineering centers in Greece. And finally, the main theme of this initiative here is building sustainable bridges to support the Greek startup ecosystem. So I'm just mentioning these questions, and if I may really quick rephrase the question that Yannis made previously, because we had been discussing. So I think what Yannis was asking is, how could we streamline funding and donations from the Greek American community and businesses to Greek nonprofits and universities? For example, scholarships, research grants, all these things. So these tax treaties, bilateral tax treaties that US has with Israel and other countries, so that companies from here and people from here investing and providing scholarships or other grants in Greece, they can also be tax deductible here. Thank you very much.
Wow. So many questions. I hope Lily does not have as many as you do.
No, he covered both.
All right.
We read them together.
Okay, great. In all honesty, I think that we should be discussing this in more detail in my forthcoming visit to San Francisco. But let me just give you a little bit of answering taste to what you raised. First of all, on digital nomads, we are fully geared towards this direction. We have new laws that have been passed. There is even visas for digital nomads that are being extended to third countries outside of the European Union. Taxation, residence, technological support. These are people who can come to Greece and do their work from here, so they can spend time in Greece and extend their know-how in what they do from a nice place. I mean, if you come to Greece for tourism, why not come to Greece for work? And this is something that is clearly under our consideration and our legislative work that has been prepared and delivered already. Second, there is willingness from the Greek financial community to support startup companies, and together with the incubators and the accelerators, look after high-tech companies that wish to establish themselves in the country. You also raised the question of how the two communities are connected, in the sense of how the Greek American community can be supportive to what the Greeks do, the Greeks pursue. And you raised a few interesting points in as far as your presence in the country, your business endeavors, your aspirations, and how you can find a connection to the Greek ecosystem in as far as delivering workplaces and then as far as delivering results. I think the bridge that we talked about earlier is vital. It is truly important. And the one thing that we can do is to prepare for a better connection between the academic community and the business community. And, we have to define what the role of the government is. When you put yourself in my shoes, in the shoes of the government, what you try to do is to create policy, to create the framework, to create a level play field in which the business and the academic community can work. And this is exactly what we do through taxation agreements, through collaboration agreements, through technical agreements, through double avoidance agreements, et cetera, et cetera. And we've done all of that with the United States. We have an excellent political relationship. I was recently in Washington, D.C. We signed a comprehensive defense agreement with the United States. We signed a number of agreements in commerce and trade. We have a relationship that is at its best as we speak. And through that, we create the framework on which you can flourish, you can do your work, you can visit the country, you can be on both sides of the... Forgive me, I forgot to turn off my mobile phone. So If there is anything that we can do on an ad hoc basis to support your endeavors, there is the consular office in San Francisco, there is the embassy in Washington, D.C., there is my office in Athens, which is open at any point in time to accept a particular request and to support you in any way we can.
And last but not least, Nikos Bonatsos. Please, Nico.
Thank you, Daphne, and hi, Deputy Minister. Hi, Consul General. It's great to see you all here, and thank you for taking the initiative to talk to all of us. I'm a venture capitalist with General Catalyst, which is one of the leading multi-stage global venture capital firms. Up there, we have over $10 billion in capital across all the funds we've raised over the years, and we invest in companies that are early stage, mid stage, late stage. In other words, we write checks that range from a few $100K all the way to $200 million. From summer 2020 till March 2021, I spent a lot of time in Greece and reconnected with a lot of the startup ecosystem players on the ground. And we ended up actually making a couple of investments in companies from Greece, which was the first for our firm to do so. They're, of course, distributed companies. One of them is called Seafair. It's a labor marketplace and HR SaaS tech solution for the maritime shipping industry. And then the other one is a more consumer-facing social network for high rises. They have distributed teams, but mostly led by Greeks and employing mostly Greeks on the ground in Athens. So we invest as a firm a lot in Europe, in particular, in Israel, of course, the UK are the countries. And most recently, we started making investments in LATAM, in India, and other places. From a government standpoint, where would you guys like to put Greece on the map in a specific industry or maybe two that we can demonstrate excellence? For example, in Israel, a lot of firms like ours are really excited to invest a lot in cybersecurity and gaming. In other countries, we just focus, on whatever, the core strengths of that country and local ecosystem are. And with Greece, this is the trouble, we don't know what to make out of it.
Okay, this is a great question. I love the question that ends with the trouble. So let me very openly and very directly answer your question. The part of the question I like the most is what sector of the economy is that of excellence in the Greek FDI, and where we as venture capitalists should be putting our money, our time, our effort in. I would split the sectors of the FDI opportunities in the country in three. One is the traditional one, which is the shipping, the infrastructure. Second is the developmental one, which is real estate and tourism. And third is the technology and innovation centers. Let me talk a little bit about this. How do you invest in Greece? I mean, if you are to come to the country and say that, I've heard so much about Greece and I love the weather and I love the people and the human capital and the political stability and the economic growth and the social cohesion and everything that what it takes in order for someone to settle roots in the country, then what would you be looking at? You will be establishing yourself on your own. You will be coming to Enterprise Greece, which is the Greek agency for trade and investment, and they will be presenting to you opportunities to invest through the private sector. They will be presenting to you one-stop shop services and fast track through strategic investments, because this is what we do. We are the marketing leg of the government. We go to corporations around the world and we talk about the Greek incentives and the opportunity of investing in Greece. And once we raise their interest to the country, then we bring them in, and Enterprise Greece presents the opportunity. It would be a greenfield opportunity, so we take them around and we provide fast track permitting and one-stop shop services till the moment they realize their investment, or we present a large database of companies that have already invested, and either they look for a partner, or they look for an acquisition, or they look for a sellout, for a merger, for potentially a technology partner, whatever. There is plenty of opportunities there. And the third way through which one can enter the country is by approaching the Greek privatization agency, TAIPED, we call it in Greek. So if you're interested into the infrastructure projects, then you should be looking at TAIPED. If you're looking at RES, renewable energy sector projects, you should be looking at Enterprise Greece and potentially take part in something that is existing already, or make an application through the process of establishing yourself in the RES. So I would say energy, RES, high tech, innovation is the Greek excellence of what we do, while shipping, infrastructure, and tourism is what we have always been doing, lately with a better vigor and more success. And I say one last answer for the end, and I call it leapfrogging. Leapfrogging is when you do faster in a niche market what the big fish cannot longer do. For example, if you're in competition with another company that delivers worldwide the product that you only deliver yourself, you have two choices. Actually, you have three choices. One is to quit because the competition is too big, too strong. Second is to keep doing what you do, hoping that you will find a little niche in the market to succeed. Or third is to leapfrog. By leapfrogging, I mean to find a niche in that market, to deliver a particular product with particular specifications that will make you a leader in that niche and will give you the capacity to create an image that will go beyond the niche market itself. So that is what we have been trying to do. The Astypalia, for example, Smart and Sustainable Program is a clear picture of what I call leapfrogging. We exceeded the expectations of what a small country can do by delivering to the world a sustainable and smart solution in an island that has all four pillars: the green energy, the electromobility, the mobility on demand, and the autonomous driving. So that is a small example of Greek excellence in as far as what you can do to reinforce the image of a country that has the capacity to deliver, it has the people to talk to, it has credible solutions, and means what it says and says what it means.
Excellent. I'm afraid we're running out of time and we'll have to unfortunately conclude our meeting. I would like to thank Deputy Minister Fragogiannis and Mr. Dritsas for taking the time to be with us and for having answered to so many questions. I know that we'll have the opportunity to continue our discussion when Mr. Fragogiannis, along with the Deputy Minister for Development, Mr. Dimas, will visit us here in San Francisco in person. I would also like to thank our friends for their input and their questions, and also thank our friends who followed us from a distance. For you, what's that space? Because we hope that we'll be able to organize some other interesting events in the near future. Thank you very much and take care.
Looking forward to seeing you soon in San Francisco. I've made a number of promises that I remember very well. So I like to be a man who keeps his promise. So I will be coming back to San Francisco, where I've left my heart anyhow. And this time I will be coming along with answers to your questions. So thank you so much for taking part in this constructive discussion today. It has been my honor and my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Many thanks to everyone.
Thank you.